Shalom. I'd like to start by giving all praise, honor, and glory that is due unto you, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakaha Kwadash. Double honors to the elder apostles out there, great millstone for passing down this truth, and a sincere salutation out there to the elect preaching this word in truth and sincerity. Now, in this lesson, I just want to go into how America is a scam, But first, I want to let this video play. Short video. It's about 1:40. So I'm going to let it run. I'm not going to interrupt it. So without further ado, let's get into it.
It's not the overspending, it's the cost of living. Here is a breakdown of the average Gen Z and millennials' cost of living in today's world. So number one is rent. Everyone knows that Gen Z and millennials have to have a roommate. So splitting a 2-bedroom apartment with utilities is around $1,500. If you have a car, a $12,000 to $15,000 used car is still going to run you $400 a month. Car insurance and gas is another $300. Student loan payment, $500. You're going to have groceries for $500. You're going to have personal care, doctor's appointments, hair, gym, about $150, and then cell phone and miscellaneous $150. That's $3,500 a month, which is baseline. Do you know how much $3,500 a month is? $70,000 a year, or $34 an hour. Because after you take out taxes, put $300 for health insurance, and do a healthy $500 401k contribution, that leaves you at $3,500. This is no fun, no savings, no maintenance, no clothes, no kids, no traveling, no vacations, no bachelor parties, no weddings, no funerals, no clothes, no school supplies, nothing. And this is paycheck to paycheck. And on top of it, they're holding $40,000 of student loan debt, a $15,000 car, and if they ever wanted to buy a house with closing costs and a down payment, another $50,000. So they need $105,000. So even if they were somehow able to scrounge up after $70,000 of paycheck to paycheck, $5,000 to go to a concert, to have avocado toast, whatever it is, $5,000 a year, it would take them 20 years to pay off this debt and save up for a house. 20 years of living with the roommate where that rent's going up, and they're making $70,000 a year as a college graduate. The average person in this country makes $50,000. It is not the overspending. It is a cost of living crisis. It's not the overspending.
It's to take a look at something. Just look at the breakdown.
50,000. Right? It is not the.
Look at that breakdown. When people are paying, say, $1,500 and having to live with a roommate, it's not like you have your own space paying $1,500 a month. This is with a roommate. But this is a lot of people's reality here in Babylon the Great, because the price of living is too expensive. Everything is too expensive. And then in America, they push that you got to take out a loan to get ahead, invest in your future and take out this $40,000 loan. And oftentimes on the low end, $40,000. And then you got a $15,000 car that you got to pay on monthly. And then it's like, is owning a home really a reality for, I guess you can say, millennials and Gen Zers today? Like, realistically, I doubt it. When you have all these expenses and $70,000 a year, that's good money. Most people don't make that. Like he said, the average person makes $50,000 a year. So you making $70,000 a year and you still living check to check. So imagine those people that make $50,000, $45,000, $40,000, which is more common than the $70,000. But see, America is a scam. The American dream, they was able to sell it to you at a point because they was able to provide it, with the industries that was here, say in the 70s, 80s, you could get a job at a plant and be able to support you, your wife, and your children off one salary. But in America, that's unheard of now. In America, people are focused on making and keeping money. That's all people are concerned with. Money, money, money. But that's because this is the system that we live in, where it's predicated on it. Like, you're literally a victim out here if you broke. For real, for real. Let me get into some scriptures. Stop talking. This is Colossians chapter 2, verse 8. It says, "Beware, lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the tradition of men, after the rudiments of the world, and not after Yahushua. You see, the philosophies, vain deceit. You go to school, you graduate, you go to college, then you find that, that good paying job with good benefits, find you a wife, then you build your home, and, you ride out to the sunset, grow old, retire. That's all over with. Those days are over and they're not coming back. America is finished. There's nothing left here for nobody. So I don't know why people, I don't understand. Well, I understand why, obviously, ultimately. But you got people literally busting their ass day in and day out, working 2 and 3 jobs, scraping just to, get some stability, get a foothold here in America. But the American dream is too expensive. It's not even worth obtaining anymore because of what you got to go through and what you have to do for it now. Before, you just get a job at the plant, get a job in the factory, and you're getting good pay, good benefits, and you're able to take care of your family. You don't have this $40,000 student loan debt, $15,000, vehicle debt, all this consumer debt. That really wasn't a thing of those times. But now everybody's around here operating on debt because they're not getting paid enough from their jobs to make it, make ends meet. So people got to stretch their credit limits. Again, very common here in Babylon the Great. Let's go to Jeremiah 51:7. It says, Babylon hath been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her, take balm for her pain, if so be she may be healed. See, in Babylon, it's not going to be healed. America is on the downcline. There's nothing that a president can implement, or anybody for that matter, that's going to, flip the coin, you could say, put America back on top. And it's over with. Them days are long gone and they're not coming back. It says, we would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go everyone into his own country. For her judgment reacheth unto heaven, and is lifted up even to the skies. You see? I'm going to read the 7th verse again. It says, Babylon hath been a golden cup in the Lord's hand, that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. And you even see with, other nations, heathen nations, that bought into the mindset of America, go to college and, climb the socioeconomic ladder. Even they bought that garbage. Because a couple weeks ago, I had a conversation with a Haitian man who moved here, but he was living in Haiti prior to. And he was talking about how in America, it's constant money, money, money. You got to be earning money, making money. Compared to how it was back in Haiti, everything is, it's a slower pace. The people talk to each other. And, it's not a constant, rat race. You're not constantly fixated on earning money and trying to keep money. You could live comfortably. But, there's a lot of civil unrest going on in Haiti as well. So, again, that's why the Lord just needs to come. Well, yeah, the Lord needs to send his son to just save us out of this place. Not talking just America, but the world. Because nothing is going to be put in its right order until Yahushua returns and puts it in its right order. Nothing at all. Everything that we get here in America is tainted. And that's why we just need to get out this bitch already. I'm tired of having to live like this. I'm tired of my people having to live like this. Worst of all is you people that think this is as good as it gets. I can't stand you niggas. Let's go to Micah chapter 2. It's reading in the NLT. Micah 2 and 1 in the NLT. It says, "What sorrow awaits you who lie awake at night, thinking up evil plans? You rise at dawn and hurry to carry them out, simply because you have the power to do so." It says, "When you want a piece of land, you find a way to seize it. When you want someone's house, you take it by fraud and violence. You cheat a man of his property, stealing his family's inheritance." And if you had to pinpoint this, if this sounded like one nationality, one nation of people on the world, be honest, who does it sound like? Esau Edom, the so-called white man. He wants everything you have and then some. He wants you can't even have the crumbs. You can't have a slice. You can't have the crumbs. Nothing. He wants everything, and he wants to leave you with nothing, leaving you to depend on him and his society, digging you deeper into the hole, and really just controlling your mind to go out and hustle and bustle and bust your ass in the society to pay off your debts, to climb the socioeconomic ladder, and get some type of strong hold and some footing in America. It's not going to happen. There's nothing left. America is over. Now let's go to Leviticus 19 and 13. Back to the King James. Let's just read in here, then I'll go back to the King James. This is Leviticus. This is Leviticus 19 and 13 in the NLT. It says, "Do not defraud or rob your neighbor. Do not make your hired workers wait until the next day to receive their pay." Here in America, you waiting a whole 7 days, maybe even 14 days in some cases before you get paid for your work, which is going off. You don't know what somebody has to do, at that day or the next day, what they got to pay. Because, here in America, there's always a bill coming up, So you never know what people got to deal with. But here in America, you got to wait a week to 2 weeks to receive pay. But according to the scriptures, you're supposed to get paid after a day's work. But that's the problem here with the world now. We gotten too far away from Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, and his ways. Because really his ways were ultimately set up to benefit, not only the Israelites, because that's who, the law and everything is for, but really the whole world benefits with, when the righteous is in rulership under the law, under Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai. The whole world doesn't even know how bad they need the kingdom. Because even these other nations, they're sick of America too. Everybody is sick of America. And if you're not sick of America, it's because you're still sleeping. You haven't been hipped, and you don't understand what you're dealing with and where you live and what's really at play here. Reading the King James. This is Leviticus 19 and 13 in the King James. It says, "Thou shalt not defraud thy neighbor, neither rob him. The wages of him that is hired shall not abide with all night until the morning." Okay, so let's go to John 10 and 10. This is John chapter 10, verse 10. It says, "The thief cometh not but to steal and to kill and to destroy. I am come that they might have life, and that they might have it more abundantly." Again, the thief cometh not but for to steal and to kill and destroy. That's Esau Edom's MO. It says, "I am come that they might have life, that they might have it more abundantly." And because really, we're just surviving here in America. We don't really know what it's like to live. You know, the way we grew up here in America and just some of the things that we adopted here, that's really, we didn't even know we was going off until we came into the truth. But again, we won't know what it's like to live until Yahweh Shai returns and establishes the kingdom of heaven here on earth. All we doing here is suffering. And, you know, ultimately, rightfully so, because we're under the curses, and we understand why we're under the curses. But you also get the thought of how much longer do we have to live like this, Lord? Under subjection, under the heathen, subject to payments, and really just being subject to this living like this. Because even, I don't care what anybody says, you climb the socioeconomic ladder, the higher you climb, the harder you have to work. And it's not about having to work hard. If you want anything worth having, you're going to have to work hard. Everybody understands that. But here in America, you have to work too damn hard. And ultimately, in the end, it's not worth it. You got to collect all this debt just to get ahead. You need to take 2 steps. You take, one step forward just to take 2 steps back here in America. And that's why if you're in your right mind, you want to get out of here. I would hate to have to grow old in America. Now let's go to Proverbs 22:7. It says, "The rich ruleth over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender." You see? Because in order to get ahead in America, it's like you have to take out debts. That's why everybody's running around here with some debts. Exorbitant amounts of debt. Like, you're never going to be able to pay it off in this lifetime. But yet, you feel like it was a necessary move to springboard you ahead into where you wanted to be. But really, that's how nobody's supposed to be living. That's not how they was living in the 70s and 80s when they was thriving. You think they was having college debt and all of this? No. You go out, you get a trade, you work in the plant, you work in a factory. And back then, those jobs, where things were actually made in America, you was actually paid a livable wage and had benefits and all that. America sold out America sold out the people's future, the citizens' future, when they allowed other companies to go overseas and into other countries and exploit the cheap labor. The fact that America allowed that to happen goes to show you America does not care about the people or the interests of the people. It's the bottom line. That's it. Because they literally sold their own future down the line, thinking, short term, taking the short, quick money. And now the people here are suffering. Let's go to Proverbs 22:16. It says, "He that oppresseth the poor to increase his riches, and he that giveth to the rich shall surely come to want." And see, that's, debt, credit card debt, consumer debt as a whole, but college debt, a debt for a vehicle, just for something like a vehicle. I'll read it again. The last part, it says, "And he that giveth to the rich surely come to want." Because ultimately you paying back these credit card companies that been rich, been established since, the slave trade. Been established, been wealthy. But yet, they going to oppress you. They going to want... Because really, when it comes to credit card companies, they really hope that you can't pay them back. So that way... Because ultimately with credit, you using it because you don't have the money. You don't have the cash in your banking account. So you have to use credit because you don't have the cash. And they're hoping that you don't pay it back, because that way you get stuck in a rut and now you're just paying the interest. You're not even paying the principal. You're just paying interest. And again, if you don't have the understanding to know this is what is going on here in America and this is the play, you're going to get caught up in the sauce. And you're going to get caught up in that, okay, I need to get a second job. I got to get a third job. Okay, I think I'm going to go back to school. It's all futile in the end. The Lord is coming to destroy Babylon the Great, coming to destroy America. There's not going to be nothing left. So all this that you put in work for, to obtain, to climb the socioeconomic ladder, it's going to be for nothing. Instead of establishing your spiritual bank account and establishing a rapport with Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, you're out here worried about money. And that's why you're going to die here in America. So I'm going to end it there. Lord will, you got something out of it. Lord will, it was edifying. Till the next time, Shalom.